Hello, my friends. Today we're going to talk about revisions and what is a rainbow script. For those of you who have worked on productions before, you already know that revisions come in different colors. Now we're going to go over the progression of those colors and how to process the revisions when you get them so that you're keeping track of your continuity. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so before we talk about the different colors of the revisions, I want to talk about the drafts that come before those revisions. Now, these are considered internal drafts. So these are usually the ones that the script supervisor won't be seeing, like the producer's draft or the writer's draft or the prep only draft. Okay, these drafts are internal and they don't have scene numbers, and they're usually private for those particular groups. Okay, so obviously the studio and or the network need to see the script before it goes into production, right? So after the producers and the writers have polished it all up and get it to a presentable position to be able to show the producers, that's when the studio draft or the studio network draft are created, which go out to all the executives on both sides. Okay, so here's an example of what a studio network draft looks like. If you notice up in the right-hand corner, it says studio network draft, and then on the first page of the script, it says exterior green view swimming pool. Now, if you notice, there's still no scene numbers on there because the scene numbers have not been locked in by the AD yet. So, and the reason I have a copy of the Studio Network draft, if you notice there's a watermark that says Monica Ochoa on it, is because many times at this stage, the producers want to get an idea of what the timing is on the script before it gets locked in. Well, when I get a script like this, what I usually do is I handwrite the scene numbers in myself through the whole script, and with a note saying that these scene numbers may change on the locked script, but this is just for purposes of giving them a timing. So what I'll do is I'll put on that first scene, I'll put scene 1, exterior Greenville swimming pool day, and then I'll give it I'll do my timing report or timing estimate, and then I'll put a time there. And the same thing goes for the next scene and the next scene and so on. So then by the end, you have a general idea of what the timing is at that stage, and they can get an idea. So before they lock in the script, they can do some changes before they get a locked in script. Now I always tell the producers or write in my letter to them that this is the scene numbers I've put in myself and may change, so this is just for timing purposes. Okay, now there may be other drafts even after that studio draft that comes out. There might be a concept meeting draft, a pre-production draft, a second network draft, a third network draft. So there's many other drafts before you get a locked-in script. And again, you may never see any of these drafts at all. The one that you will see, obviously, is going to be the production draft, which has the scene numbers. Okay, so here is the production draft or the white draft, which is the first draft that comes out that has the locked scenes and page numbers. Now, when I say locked, that means that once this draft comes out, those pages and scene numbers cannot be moved. Now, the reason they do this is because once this draft comes out, the departments are going to start working on their breakdowns, you included. You're going to start working on your breakdown once this comes out because it has all the locked scene numbers in it now. So say, for example, wardrobe started their breakdown and they established the wardrobe for scene 4. Now, and then the writers decided, you know what, we're going to add a scene before scene 4. Now, instead of renumbering the whole script, because if they renumbered it, scene 4 would actually become scene 5, right? Because they're adding a scene before scene 4. Now, what's going to happen then is wardrobe is going to have to go back to their breakdown and have to redo their whole breakdown to now change what is happening in scene 4 to change it to scene 5. So instead of doing that, what they do is they basically will add a number between scene 3 and scene 4. So they'll call it scene 3 apple. And the same thing goes for pages. So for example, when you get these revisions, all you're going to have to do is take one page out and put one page in, so that, you know, things may be, say for example, scene 4 went into, you know, the next page, and and they decided to delete scene 4. Well, what's going to happen is now there's a gap there, and scene, you know, the next page also is going to have a gap. So instead of, you know, redoing those pages, what they'll do is they'll redo that scene where scene 4 is, and then the next page they'll adjust it to, say, you know, whatever that first page is. They'll replace that, but whatever it ends on has to be what it ends on from the previous version. And I'll show you that in a sample of what I'm talking about in a second. But anyway, all you need to know is this is the reason why they add the apples and bakers for the scene numbers and the page numbers, because you need to be able to just take out a page and insert it back in without it disrupting any of the other pages or the scene numbers. Now here's a closer look at that first page. Now the top elements will show, you know, what the draft is, the date that it came out, and also if you notice on the left-hand side there it says fully collated. What that means is that this script now, even though it's the first white draft, it's collated because all the drafts before were actually integrated into this draft. So it's fully collated with all the previous drafts. All right, and then if you look at the bottom there, it has also what draft it is. It also has the pages that were changed in that draft. So for example, you know, the scenes that it's showing is like scene 3, 6 through 7, 10 through 11. So whatever that previous draft was, the network draft, these were the changes from that previous draft. All right, and then of course you have your disclaimer. All right, so in addition to that first page, the lock script is also going to include other pages before that first page of the script. Now, this will vary between show and show, and on this show that I worked on, the next, which is called This Is Us, a couple of you may have heard of it, and the next page would be the cast list. And this was always really helpful for me because I'm always forgetting people's names. And if I don't have it written down somewhere, I forget. That's just the way I am. So this was always welcome, especially not only for the main actors, but because when you're talking to them so many times, you'll be calling them by their character name instead of their real name. And anyway, but also for the guest actors, you know, they'll come on just for that one episode, and this top page, it's a very easy reference. You just just look at it and you have their character name there right off. So it's a really helpful page to have when you're actually working on set, and especially when the director turns to you and say, what's that actor's name? Because they don't remember either, and you have it at your fingertips. So that's really helpful. Okay, and the next page that we had on our show anyway was the set list. And this was very important to especially the set dressers, because we had so many different timelines on our show. You know, we had present day and we had past and future and different years and stuff. So on some of these sets, you know, we had, like, for example, Kate and Toby's house, you know, we had present day set, and then we had maybe, you know, last year's set. You know, they maybe changed some furniture or whatever. So when you see this set list, it shows you, okay, Kate and Toby's house was present day. So you know, okay, the guest room and the living room have to be looking like present day. You know, say the episode before, they were showing, you know, that set from last year, so everything's set for that. So instead of changing every single room to go to present day, they say, oh, okay, the guest room and the living room have to be present day, so they only have to change those 2 rooms. They don't have to change the entire set. Okay, so that's really important. Now, this page is really important to you because I know it was very important to me when it first came out. And this is your day-night breakdown, present day breakdown. Our show had a lot of timelines. Like I said, it went from the 1800s all the way to the future in 1950 something. So our timelines were all over the place many times. So this was really when we didn't always have this page, and when they came out with it, I thought, oh, thank goodness, because this is just so helpful. When I'm doing my breakdown, I don't basically, I'm guessing, I'm reading the script and I'm guessing, okay, I think this is another day, so I'm going to put, another day, because if it's not written in the script, you have to kind of decipher, okay, well, is this another day or is it the same day? And there were times when I had a couple of days there, 1 or 2 days that were, either more or less. So having this page was super helpful, where it tells you exactly what scenes, from scenes 4 was day 1, scene 5 was day 2, and you could see down here scenes 1 was day 1 of 1986. So it just made it so much easier for me to do my breakdown when I had this page. So, but again, if you don't have this page, what you do is you guess your best guess when you're doing your breakdown. And then once you put it on there, then you send it to the script coordinator so that they can verify that the days that you have on there are correct. Or the next best thing would be send it to wardrobe, because wardrobe's always my best friend, because they are the ones that have to know, okay, is this another day, because I got to give them another outfit. So they are the ones that I would have as my backup, and I'd send it to them and say, hey guys, and they usually are the ones that are talking to production, because they have to go and buy the clothes. So they are in the know of what's happening, in real time, as far as the day and night. So I send it to them, the heads of the department there, and I say, hey, does this look right? And then they'll say, no, you know what? They decided they're going to make this another day. Oh, okay. So I go and I change my breakdown, because you have to make sure that before you do your distribution to all the heads of the department with your breakdown, that it's correct, because yours is the Bible. Yours is the one that they're going to be, everybody's going to be going off of. So you have to make sure that it's correct. Okay, and then finally we have our first page of our script with our locked in scene numbers. Now, again, I just want to remind you that all those pages that we just went through, they're not usually on all scripts. This was just my particular show, and you may have all of those, you may have some of them, you may not even have any of them. It may go just from the front page to the script itself. So don't feel that, your script, oh, it's missing these pages. No, it just, every show is different, so you just have to allow for that. Okay, so when you're changing out pages, the one thing that you want to look out for are the asterisks, all right? Now, here's an example of the first pages of the blue draft that were being switched out. Now, if you notice on that, the page on the left, they're both page 3. But if you notice on the one on the left, the white page, there's asterisks up there on the top, right by the scene 2. Now, the reason there's asterisks on the white version is because those were changed out from the network draft. Okay, so from the previous version, we're not going to worry about the asterisks that are on the white pages. We're just going to worry about the asterisks on the revisions that come after the white pages, because those are the ones that are actually going to be changes. Because remember, we did our breakdown from the white script, okay? So we didn't do a breakdown from the network draft. We only did it from the white draft. So we're not going to worry about revisions that came before the white draft. The one things that you want to remember is the revisions that come after the white draft. So the first draft that we're going to see is, if you notice, let's get a little bit closer here. Okay, so here we are a little bit closer. Now, if you notice, in the blue pages, the only thing on that page is at the very bottom there. After Randall says Kevin, then the description says, in the white pages, it says, across the way, teetering on a diving board holding a can of beer is Kevin, period. All right. In the blue pages, they added on holding a can of beer is Kevin. Off to the side are 5 full cans of beer. Okay, so that's a change in what you should be putting in your uh, description or your uh, uh, breakdown, because you didn't have those 5 cans of beer before, because they just put them in these blue pages. All right, so you want to make sure that you update your version so that you know that when you get to that scene, now there's 5 cans of beer, before there wasn't. So you want to make a note of that. So, and if you notice on the white pages, that page ends with Randall and Kate stare at him blankly. And the blue pages, because they added that extra line in there, it pushed everything down. So because they couldn't get that last line in that page 3, they had to add another page just for that last line. Randall and Kate stare at him blankly. Because what they don't want to do is they don't want to lose that line, but they don't want to put it onto another page 4, because what they're going to do is they're just going to slip that page 3 apple in there, and page 4 stays the same. It's not going to change. So this way they don't lose that line. And here's that page that hasn't been touched. Okay, so now let's get into the colors and why they call it a rainbow script. Okay, now here are the color progressions. So the first version is going to be white draft. The second version is going to be a V2 blue draft, and then so on. So then we go into pink, yellow, green, goldenrod, buff, salmon, and cherry. Now, once you get to that cherry version, then it goes into the double letters. And here's what that looks like. So version 9 is the cherry version, and then the next version would be a second white, and then version 11 would be second blue. Now sometimes some productions don't use a second white; they'll go straight into second blue. So you might want to watch out for that. So and then it goes all the way to second cherry. Very seldom will it go past that. Now you'll have to remember that the versions aren't usually don't ever get that far into the second blue and the second goldenrod and cherry. It's very rare that they do get that far, but just so you know, there is a progression after that that last cherry version. And also just want you to know that this also applies to call sheets and one-liners. So if you get a call sheet and you get a call sheet that's a blue call sheet, you know that this is the latest version, and you want to make sure that you have the latest version, because if you don't have the latest one-liner, or one-liner meaning the schedule or the call sheet, then you're probably, the reason they might have changed that call sheet was because they changed the call time, and you want to make sure that you have the latest one, or you're either going to be early or you're going to be late. So make sure you have the latest version of the one-liners and the call sheet as well. Okay, so one thing to remember, when you get your revisions, you always want them in white, all right? And production, for the most part, knows that you want them in white, and they'll usually give them to you in white. But if they don't, you always have to make sure you remind them you need your revisions in white, because when you do your notes, if you're working in pencil and paper, you're going to be writing on white paper, not on cherry or green or blue pages. Okay, you're just not going to do that. So make sure they give them to you in white pages. Now, most likely what they're going to do is send you a file in the email with a fully collated file and a pages file. So the fully collated one is obviously the full script collated, and then the pages. So what I always do is I always print them out at home, and I would collate them into my script. That way I'm ready on set with my script fully, collated, because you're already going to be shooting, so you don't want to have to print out the fully collated one, because you have already got pages that have writing on them. So what you need is to just intermix the pages that you have there. All right. Now, if you are working on a computer program, you still want to have a copy of the fully collated script. So that's when, I don't have to necessarily write out do the rainbow script like this one would be, that has all these pages, okay? As long as I know that the top page says the latest version, that I know, so then I know that it's fully collated. So when I say I get a version of a yellow version, I'll just print out the fully collated yellow version. That way I don't have to be intermixing, and it just takes time for me to do that. As long as I know that it is, it is the yellow script. Now, and the reason you always want to have it on if you are working in a computer program is that if the actors ever ask you to take a look at the script, you want to hand them the script. You're not going to obviously hand them the computer. You're going to hand them the script. So always make sure you have a copy. I made that mistake once and I didn't have a copy with me, and one of the actresses asked me for the script, and I was scrambling asking production to get me a script so that I can give to the actor, and boy, I'll never make that mistake again. So always have a copy of the fully collated script with you on set at all times. And the last thing I want to say is hold on to the old versions of the scripts and just keep them somewhere. Like I always, in my my bag, I always have, again, my rainbow script, which is the rainbow script is the script that has all the different colors, okay? And then I also, I keep extra forms here when I'm doing pencil and paper. And then I always have a section in the back that has the old scripts so that I keep them, because sometimes the actors will actually, or the director will say, you know what, there was a line in an older script and I don't remember what it was. You have it right there, and you can quickly thumb through that scene and see, oh yeah, well it was in the blue version, here it is. Oh yeah, I like that line better, I want to say that instead. So you always save the day if you have those old versions with you. All right, guys. Well, that's it. That's revisions and rainbow scripts in a nutshell. I hope that you've learned something again. If you have, please leave me a comment. Let me know that that this is resonating with you. It really does make me happy to know that, that people are really getting something out of these videos. Okay. So again, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe and like my videos if you like them, and leave a comment. All right. And we'll see you on the next one.